Hi there, today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions, and I'm on page 15 in your binder. So there's actually two methods that I'm going to talk about with adding and subtracting fractions. I'm going to show you the long form where you find a common denominator, but I'm going to recommend that you use your calculator in order to solve these because you will always be given answer choices, and I'll show you how you can use those answer choices to help you with finding the answer. So let's do the long form first, and I'm going to write it down here. You don't necessarily need to write this down, but if you choose to, you may. So I'm looking at the first example, so I have 2/3 plus 3/4, and anytime that we do these with adding fractions, I always say add, subtract, stack, and rack. So we stack up our fractions and we rack up our whole numbers. But in this case, we don't have any whole numbers. The next thing we would need to do is we would need to find a common denominator. A common denominator between 4 and 13. Or I'm sorry, not 13, 3. So 4 and 3, what do they both have in common as a factor? And it would be 12. So our denominator would be 12. 3 times 4 is 12. And whatever I do to the bottom of a fraction, I need to do to the top. 2 times 4 is 8. And I can do the same thing for 4. 4 times 3 is 12. So I need to do that to the top as well. 3 times 3 is 9. Now that I have a common denominator, I can add or subtract my fractions. In this case, I'm going to add. So I have 8 plus 9 over 12, because the denominator is going to stay. 8 plus 9 gives me 17 over 12. Now, if you look at that problem, I have a whole number stuck in there because the numerator is larger than the denominator. So if I use my brain or if I use my calculator, I can see that the whole number is going to be 1. 12 stays to the denominator. 12 times 1 is 12. How many more do I need to get to 17? I need 5. So we could see that the answer is going to be 1 and 5/12. Now, what if I am not good at this math and finding a common denominator and making equivalent fractions? Well, don't you worry, we have a solution. We are going to use these steps here to add and subtract fractions. So we are going to convert mixed numbers into improper fractions. So if we look at this one, we don't have any mixed numbers. So we just have fractions. So we're good with step 1. Put parentheses around the fractions is step 2. So we're going to write parentheses around our fractions. Then we're going to use our calculator to add or subtract the fractions. It says type in exactly as you see the problem. So if you look at your calculator, it has an open parenthesis and it has a closed parenthesis. Now when we type this into the calculator, you're going to type open parenthesis 2, the fraction bar means division, divided by 3, close parenthesis, plus open parenthesis 3 divided by 4, close parenthesis. Now you need to be very careful because it's very easy to make a mistake. So I suggest that you type it twice. Type this problem into your calculator 2 times and make sure that you get the same answer twice. When you plug this into your calculator, you get 1.416 repeating. Now, that doesn't make any sense to me when I'm looking at these answer choices. But if you look, what is the whole number in the answer? Well, the whole number is 1. Which of these answer choices is the only one that has a whole number of 1? Well, this one is 1 and 5/12. But in order to be 100% sure, let's use our fraction decimal percent rules and convert our fractions into decimals. And remember, that's our little FDP chart. So I'm going fraction to decimal, so I'm going to do numerator divided by denominator. Remember, you can leave the whole number hang out front. So in this case, it's going to be 3, and then if I do 2 divided by 9, I get 2 repeating. If I do this one, I get 1 point, and then I do 5 divided by 12, gives me 416 repeating. And the same thing with this one, I get 2, and 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. The 2 takes the place of the 0. So the only one that matches is the 1 and 5/12. I would recommend that you always turn your answer choices into decimals so that you can see what they actually look like and make sure that you did choose the right answer. Now let's look at this second example down here. Our first step is to convert mixed numbers into improper fractions. So I need to do the magic C here for this one. Multiply at the bottom, add at the top. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more gives me 3 over 2 minus 5 over 6. Now I need to put parentheses around my fractions so I don't forget to type them. If you need to write it out like I did up here so that you don't forget, you can do that. Parentheses 3 divided by 2, close parentheses, minus 5 divided by 6. So you remember what you're typing in the calculator. Remember, type it twice. When you do that, it gives you a decimal of 0.6 repeating. Now we need to look at our answer choices. If I type this one into my calculator, I get 0.75. Remember, we're turning these to decimals so we can find the match for this one. 1/2 gives me 0.5. That doesn't match. Now I have 2/3. If I put that in my calculator, I get 0.6 repeating, and that matches my answer, so 2/3 is my correct answer choice. Okay, if you need to rewatch this section of the video, go ahead. Your job, after you understand what's going on, is to complete the practice and the 2 coloring pages. You can work on those, and if you get that done, you're welcome to work on the word problems. Make sure that you're checking the key on the website as you go along.